Let's move on to that. So we're gonna be counting down top 5 UK coasters. So my list will be anticipated because I haven't ridden any. And Aaron, I believe yours is gonna be the ones out of the ones you've ridden, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Already cool. So we're gonna go right into that, and you're gonna start off actually because I'm doing this in order. So, what's your number 5?
Um, I'm gonna go with the. It's a hard one. I'm gonna go with the iconic Revolution at Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
Nice. I like
That is
that.
for a classic coaster. It rides smooth. It has the classicness and the vintageness about it. It doesn't have the Irn-Bru sponsorship anymore, but I'm not too fussed about that, to be honest. I never got to do it when I had because my other visit to Blackpool Pleasure Beach was 2016, so this was before Icon. So Irn-Bru at Revolution was just known as Revolution because it had the whole paint job from 2012 onwards. So I did get to do it as Irn-Bru Revolution, but I do remember it as the Irn-Bru Revolution. I even remember it before the Irn-Bru Revolution when I remember seeing the old color scheme. But for an old ride, it's smooth. It's smooth as a set of curtains. It's brilliant. It's amazing to ride, and like I said, a vintage classic at the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Like these arrow shuttle loops look so nice. So I definitely want to do one, and that looks like one of the better ones, honestly. Just because I don't know, it just looks that way. Because the other ones, I guess actually I imagine it has a decent amount of downtime, but the ones over here in America are like insanely bad in terms of like downtime. So hopefully that one's better. With that being said, my number 5 is at the same park, and this is anticipated. So how I do this is it's not the 5 that I think will be the best. These are the 5 I'm most interested in riding, and I'll just say now that Stealth won't be on here because I've done Intimate Accelerators already, and there's gonna be a few coasters that are probably better than these, but I've already ridden something similar or we have something similar here in the US, like Megaphobia is another one. So we have Rampage, so that's that. But my number 5 is actually going to be Big One at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Now, yes, I've heard this ride isn't particularly good, but it is iconic. It is a piece of like just coaster history. One of the most iconic coasters, at least I would say, in the entire UK. Whether, like I said, if it's good or bad, at the very least, it is a long ride. It's got what looks like a decent sense of speed, and the first drop looks pretty nice. I've heard there isn't that much airtime on it, which I might be okay with because Magnum, my issue with it was the restraints. When he got airtime, it just was painful as heck. Still a good ride, but it was still super painful. And Magnum, it was a little rough, but I didn't really mind it. But Big One, I'm just really curious about how this thing is gonna be. So that's my number 5. So yeah.
It has the nickname Big One Monorail among the UK enthusiasts. Just giving the American enthusiasts a bit of context. Some UK enthusiasts used to have a bit of a joke. We call it the Big One Monorail because even on the back row, you never get airtime on the big hills. Never. So
The hills were profiled so weirdly, so it's a kind of a shame. So
B&M retrack in the future. Well, I'm probably going to anger the UK community now. They're like, no, the big one is sacred. We'll sacrifice it to the great god Jeffrey Thompson.
nice. What is your number 4?
Number 4, I'm gonna go with Galactica at the Alton Towers Resort.
Nice.
The reason why I've gone with this is because it's a wonderful coaster. I think the restraint system's quite compact, but I think the transit again, like I said, I see new coasters or coasters like an artist sees a painting on a canvas. The fluency, the transitions, the collage, the fluency in transitions from the zero G onto the back, the turn to the front again, later on, and the zero G roll, the addition of the portal as well. I think that this is an out of this world coaster. Did I prefer the theme as air? Yes, because there's no VR now, so what's the point? But I like the addition of the space portal. I think it's a nice addition to the theming, especially with no VR now. You can just enjoy it and feel the smoke on your face when it comes through that portal element, and just fly into the fly to lie element, and then before the lie to fly. So overall, decent coaster. Let's see what happens with the future of that. Let's see if it goes back to air or not.
That honestly might be my sixth. I will say I don't have it on here, but it is like it was a pioneer. Obviously, the first B&M flyer, and it's. I know you've said that like you just mentioned that you liked it better as air. I'm still very curious to ride it. Just because like it is, I do like flying coasters. I've only done Tatsu, but I do really like it, so it's definitely up there for me for sure. My number four, and this is probably also gonna be one that's like it's also from Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and this is actually the Grand National. So, like I said with earlier with classic wooden coasters, I forgot who brought it up, but I mentioned I also like them. And this one seems to have the best looking layout in terms of airtime and whatnot. I don't know how strong the hills are. I hope they're good. And I've heard it's a little rough, but I think that I can deal with it. And it's got the racing aspect, which is really cool as well. But just once again, a super iconic looking coaster. And I think out of the classic Woodies, it looks like it has the best layout. So, like that might, I don't know if that's because I know they have Big Dipper, but this is the one I would want to ride more, I'll just say. So, Grand National at Blackpool is my number four.
My number three is gonna be the iconic Nemesis Alton Towers. I was debating
Nice.
between 3 and 2 here, but I think Nemesis just doesn't have it over my number two. Now, I think Nemesis is still one of the most intense ride experiences of all time, in my opinion. It's always been that since 1994. So this B&M inverted coaster is a once in a lifetime experience. Once you experience it, you love it for the rest of your life. I remember my first experience when I was a very tall 6-year-old, 7-year-old child during the late noughties era of the UK, back when TikTok didn't exist. And I love this coaster. I loved the original. We used to have like a little waterfall in the queue line, and it used to be dyed red for blood. But I think it caused some I think it leaked out sometimes and caused some problems sometimes with the water outside of the park. So they sort of stopped doing the waterfall now, or they did it with just normal water. So it's had its history, and there's been rumors of a major overhaul in the future, like new track, the new trains with the new best restraints to go with the new track, redone support, new
Ugh,
station.
I don't know that
There's been a major overhaul rumor for the past, I'd say, nearly a year now. I think it was towards New Year 2020 when this came out, or sort of New Year's Eve 2021 when this came out. So there's been rumors of a major overhaul. I don't know how long we're going to see that for happening, but the first talks are there that it could be happening, or it's set to be happening within the next few years. So we'll see what happens. If it gets done, we'll see. If we're looking at an overhaul, we're looking at a Banshee style train and vest and things like that with the sort of triangular vest restraints, I guess. So we'll see what happens. But I think for the original ride experience, legendary. It's like a god to us UK enthusiasts. Like if the USA enthusiasts can worship Velocicoaster and Millennium Force, we can worship Nemesis.
I don't know if the US enthusiasts necessarily worship Millie. I feel like that's pretty polarizing at this point. I would say I'm definitely not on the Millie bandwagon. It's my number four coaster at the park, but no, Nemesis, like super iconic coaster. I could totally see that. And you will be seeing it from me, but not quite yet. My number three is actually Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. This is my last Blackpool coaster, so that's it. Um, this one, I've I've heard mixed things on it. I hear it more rides almost like a family coaster, which might not be a horrible thing, if that's true. And there's not maybe as many airtime moments as maybe I would have liked. There's like some portions where I'm like, oh, I think an airtime hill would have been nice, and it doesn't do that. But The Junior Immelman, I have no idea how that rides. That looks really cool. It's just a unique element like launching into it, so that was one thing. And it just looks fun, if nothing else. It's just a really fun looking ride. So even if it's not really that intense, like whatever, it'll probably still be a fun ride and I'll probably still enjoy it. So yeah, that's my number 3. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is at Thorpe Park.
Ooh.
It is the best coaster at Thorpe Park by a gazillion miles at this rate. Hopefully, something new comes along and tops it, like a Hyper or an RMC Merlin Entertainment. Hear my words. But for now, it is the newest coaster at Thorpe Park. It's nearly 10 years old, 2012. I think the third B&M Wing Rider, same year as X-Flight opened. The Swarm. The Swarm. The end is near. The world's coming to an end. Themed around the whole 2012 Mayan calendar, end of the world, which, spoiler alert, didn't end up happening. And the Swarm is just, oh my God. The theming in that ride is wicked. Like, in opening year, you had a broken down aeroplane with the wing being the head chopper element after the going into the 0G roll after the inverted drop at the top of the lift hill. And to tease, they blew up a fire truck to tease the ride. Like to tease the coaster and to tease the opening of the coaster during a fireworks event in 2011, they blew up a fire truck just to tease this ride, and then used that fire truck on the island as we do, because this is situated on a brand new piece of land. There's like a new island. It's called the Swarm Island, and it's attached by a bridge to the entrance of the theme park. So this is like a new attached island. So one of the places where the next coaster could be built is another island, which you probably have a bridge attaching to that. So the Swarm is just amazing. They had like a soundtrack. It's got some new music now, but it used to. The main song was by a band called Due Me at 6. It was called The Swarm. It was a song specifically for that ride, and it sounds like something from Fallout Boy. It's brilliant. The whole thematization of this ride is incredible. Even the toilets look like an abandoned building blown up by an explosion. And one of the sideshow stalls is an emergency container opened up, and there's another sideshow stall or an old sideshow stall that's like a tipped over lorry, and it's had its top opened up, and that's the sideshow stall. They thought about everything with this ride and the whole surrounding area. And it's just, as a ride experience as well, with the head chopper elements, with the elements, and again, the flow of the elements. Again, it's just an amazing coaster and something that the next generation are going to end up. Like, we worship Nemesis. The next generation will worship the next god in the sky, which is the Swarm.
I mean, that was a good explanation. Your explanation, if I had to redo this, I'm going to slot Swarm in at number 4. I'll just say that much. Maybe even number 3, actually. But, yeah, no. I mean, I had already done a wing coaster. I don't have it on here for that reason. But, no, it just, I didn't even think about, like, all the theming and everything that went into it, so...
Go and watch videos of the Swarm, like off-ride, on-ride, any vlogs from opening day to now, and the theming level just hasn't changed. It hasn't dropped. It hasn't dipped.
That's awesome.
It's remained the same, and it's apocalyptic devastation.
That's awesome to hear. With that being said, my number 2 is your number 3. It is Nemesis at Alton Towers. I feel like I've been saying iconic for a few of these, but I mean, this is another one that is an iconic coaster for the UK, just legendary. I mean, the terrain usage of it is very different from the other B&M inverts I've done. The other ones are like Batman, which is on a parking lot, and Silver Bullet, which is over a lake. They're just not that interesting terrain-wise for the most part, the inverts I've done. But this one, I mean, they had to go all out with like the terrain usage, which makes it really unique, and the near misses with the theming that they have. It just looks like an amazing coaster, and it looks super intense. Like, it might be the most intense of maybe all the B&M inverts. Maybe that's saying a little too much, but it looks really intense. So it has to be up there for me. It's just too legendary not to have on here. So yeah. With that being said, I think we both have the same number one, but what is yours?
See, I really want to know yours first. I'm gonna go. Well, my number one. I think it's been key throughout the stream. Wicker Man at Alton Towers Resort.
Oh wait, actually you're right. Nope, never mind. Our number ones are different. Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so Wicker Man for me is my number one. I've already said throughout the stream why. It is just legendary. It's the modernization of the. It's like they're taking this feeling of the Swarm, and you know how much I love the theming of the Swarm and how
Yeah.
detailed it is. They've just doubled in size. It is just the fire aspects, the look of the trains, the station, the queue line, the pre-show before COVID,
Oh,
the whole off-ride. But the pre-show will be back, thank God.
yeah.
The off-ride look of it, the smoke around the area. They used to have the roaming characters when it first opened, and they used to have a scare maze in the courtyard next opposite it
Wow.
before it opened. Like the year before it opened, they had a scare maze for Scarefest called The Welcoming Be Chosen. And that ran for a couple of years, even after the ride opened, before being turned into Darkest Depths and then obviously moved out of the courtyard. But they did so much teasing around this ride and the whole theming of this ride. We knew from the start it'd be a wooden coaster, but we never knew how good it would be until we saw this. And there was actually plans in 2007 for a Cross Valley wooden coaster that was going to go from one area, Forbidden Valley, to the Dark Forest. So the revitalization of the wooden coaster plans, that was going to be an Intamin prefab. This is a GCI. I prefer this GCI to the Cross Valley. I'm saying it now. I'm sorry the Cross Valley didn't happen, but I prefer this to the Cross Valley by a million miles. It is just feed the flames and enter the ritual, because Wicker Man is just a spiritual experience.
Yeah, in terms from a ride experience standpoint, I've seen some POVs. The layout of it hasn't looked super impressive to me, but definitely the theming of it is definitely what makes it stand out. A night ride on this would be like a must for me. I have to imagine that's like insane. And this, it was really close to making it. I at one point did have it. Like I said, if I redid it, I might put it there, to be honest, but it does look really, really nice. Just a very awesome looking wooden coaster. But that being said, my number one is Smiler at Alton Towers. This ride is so polarizing. I have no idea whether I'm gonna like it or not, but it is so different from anything I've done. Just because it has the 14 inversions. Yeah, I've done Hang Time and Fahrenheit, which are like Eurofighter. Well, I guess Hang Time is an Infinity and so is Smiler, but they're similar-ish, but they're not really. So that's why I have it as my number one. It just is a ride that I look at it, I'm like, wow, that is not like anything I've ever done. So I gotta do it.
I get that. I get that. I think other people it's like Millennium Force at Cedar Point. I think for Smiler we have a very divided community.
Yeah, it's very polarizing.
Yeah, very, very polarizing. Like we have the Smiler, which is our polarizer. You guys have Millennium.
Yeah, that's fair. I saw in the chat someone actually did list their top 5 for family coasters in the UK, which is cool. Troublesome Trucks, Runaway Mine Train, the Ultimate. I don't know if that's necessarily a family coaster, but
technically it is.
All right.
Family Thrill.
Yeah, all right. 2 Accelerator. I actually don't know what that is.
That used to be Ben 10 Ultimate Mission at Drayton Manor. That's a family boom brand by Bacoma.
Oh, got it. And then 1
It was
Wickerman.
rethemed a few years back, so the whole Cartoon Network license shape going. So
yeah. And then Icon does not count as a family coaster. I said it was like family coaster like. I've ridden Manta. So if it's like a little bit better of a version than that, I'm totally cool with that.
It's a better version than Manta with a couple of inversions, I'd say.
Yeah, and I like Manta quite a bit, so that's why I'm saying like I don't care if it's like not super forceful. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for our list. Very different from each other. I'm a little surprised actually. I mean, the first 2 I figured would be like you wouldn't have it. The other ones, I'm a little, I was surprised, but that's cool to see. I like that. So, yeah.